How you going? Troy Parsons from the Podiatry Hive. In this video today, we're going to talk about your frame. Right, so before we get into your frame, just want to go back to a concept that you should all be very familiar with at the moment, and that is content versus context. So obviously the content is given meaning by our context. So if we think about it this way, if down here, this is the content of our lives, and in particular, and what we're talking about here is the content of our business. So it's all the stuff that kind of happens in our business. So in here, you're going to have the podiatry, the treating, the selling of equipment, administration, might be training, mentoring, HR, IT, etc., etc. It's all the stuff that goes into your business. Outside of the content, though, is what we talk about being our context. And the context is what gives the content meaning. Now, I'll tell a story about, quite some years ago when I first started working with Greg, that I grew this business, and I was working with Greg, and I grew this business to go up to about 19 sites and about $1.5 million. I remember just talking to Greg one day and just saying that I feel like I'm climbing this ladder and I've got this fear that I'm going to get to the top one day and realise I'm actually against the wrong wall. You see, I was focusing on the content, and the solution to all my problems was just grow a bigger business. As the business got bigger, my problems would reduce. So I was just focusing on content. But what was happening is I grew this big machine that had so many moving pieces that my stress levels went through the roof, my profitability went through the floor, despite my revenue going up. And I just sat there one day and considered my context of what's actually important to me. Why am I actually doing what I'm doing? So that's where the context of why I have my business is really important to connect with. And I was introduced to this concept just recently that I'd like to share with you, and it's basically called your frame. So if you think about it this way, as another way of looking at our context. So here's the frame, here's the context for us and who we are as human beings, but who we are as podiatry business owners. So when I started to consider what's actually really important to me, so if we just think about the frame, the first thing that when I start to look at my world, what's important, it starts with my family. Family is the focal point of my frame. Next thing I want to be looking at is my potential. Now, I have this belief, and again, this is only probably really crystallized over the last 12 months for me, is that for me, my life, my existence is all about me realizing my potential. It's actually the purpose for our business as well, that it's all about me realizing my potential, my team realizing their potential, and then our patients realizing their potential. When I apply this to my family, it's about helping my wife and my kids realize their potential, and also the grandkids when they show up. So they're the first two components of the frame. The next thing I want is freedom. I want freedom to choose what I'm going to do, when I'm going to do it, and how I'm going to do it. So that again forms that constitutes my frame. And the final component of this for me is legacy. Now, this isn't about creating a monument or trying to get a plaque or anything like that. This is about what impact can I have had on the world and closer to home on my wife and my kids, my grandkids, my friends, my family, long after I have gone. That's why I do what I do, is to have left this world and had an influence that make it a better place for those that I've been able to actually have something to do with. So this becomes the frame of why I do what I do. So when I go to make decisions for my practice, decisions in my personal life, decisions for my family, I go, does this support looking after my family? Does this help me realise my potential? That for me, my family, my team and my patients? Does this still allow me to have freedom of choice to choose what we want to do? And I want to be a place in life where I'm only doing things that I choose to do. And ultimately, will this help make the place better as a result of us having involvement in essence, the legacy? So my challenge to you is to actually take some time and consider what is the context of why you do what you do in your business. Why do you do what you do as a human being? And think about this as the frame of reference for your business. Now, it doesn't have to be four sides. You might have a triangular frame. You might even want to have an octagon, whatever makes sense to you. But start to consider what's actually important to you. I've got family, freedom, potential, legacy. You might have money, you might have time, you might have significance, you might have security, you might have status. There's so many things that are different for everyone. And once you actually get clear on your frame, you get a huge amount of clarity on where you're actually going with your business, why you do it to start with, and it helps you stay on track as you move forward.